What if the thing watching you through the mirror wasn't you? A girl from Karachi found out the hard way when her reflection started whispering her name. Welcome to Fear Diaries, and this is the story of the mirror that knew her name.
This incident took place in 2022. Hiba, a 19-year-old student living in Gulshan Iqbal, Karachi, was like any other girl. Late-night study sessions, chai breaks with friends, in a quiet corner of her room where she had her books, prayers, and a large antique mirror passed down by her nani. It started small. Every morning, Hiba noticed the mirror would fog up from the inside, even though there was no humidity. Once she saw faint handprints, but she lived alone. At first, she laughed it off, thinking she was just tired or imagining things. But one night, she noticed something terrifying. Her reflection blinked slower than she did. Delayed. It felt off. She waved, and the reflection paused, then waved back. She tried recording the mirror. In one clip, as she turned to leave the room, her reflection stayed staring directly into the lens. When she showed it to her friend Ariba, the girl was shaken. They both began to observe the mirror every night until something darker emerged, faint, coming from the mirror when everything else was silent. And once, it whispered Hiba's name. On a stormy night, the power went out. Candlelight danced across the mirror. Hiba lit incense to calm her nerves. That's when she saw it. Her reflection wasn't hers anymore. The eyes were darker, deeper. It smiled. Frozen in fear, she whispered, "Who are you?" The reflection responded in a hoarse voice, "I've always been here, behind you." She screamed. Her mother rushed in, but all she saw was Hiba collapse on the floor, shaking. The next day, they brought a local imam. He recited Surah al-Baqarah and other protective verses. The mirror began to crack during the recitation. He warned the family this was no ordinary jinn. Something had been trapped in the mirror for generations. They removed the mirror, wrapped it in black cloth, and took it far outside the city to be burned. The moment it turned to ash, the whispers stopped. Dumpa. Since then, Hiba hasn't experienced anything strange, but she never places a mirror across from her bed again, and now neither does her family. They say the jinn trapped in that mirror wasn't trying to harm her, it just wanted to be seen. Was this just a psychological breakdown, or a trapped entity trying to cross over? Let us know what you believe in the comments. A man moved into a quiet flat in East London, looking for peace and a fresh start. What he found instead was a presence that refused to leave. And every night, at exactly 3:17 a.m., someone else walked the hallway. Someone who wasn't alive. In 2019, 34-year-old Mark Evans moved into a modest studio apartment in Bethnal Green, East London. Recently divorced and looking for a quiet place to reset his life, he found a cheap rental in a 120-year-old building. The landlord mentioned it was vacant for over 2 years, but didn't say why. For the first few days, everything seemed normal. But by the end of the first week, strange things began to happen. Every night, Mark would wake up around 3:17 a.m., never 3:15 or 3:20, always 3:17. He'd hear slow, dragging footsteps in the hallway outside his flat, but when he opened the door, no one was there. No neighbors, just silence. At first, he thought it was just an old building shifting, until one night, the footsteps stopped directly in front of his door and stayed there. Determined to catch whatever or whoever was out there, Mark set up his phone to record overnight. The next morning, he watched the footage and froze. At exactly 3:17, the audio picked up footsteps, then a knock. 3 slow, heavy knocks, but no one knocked on Mark's door that night. At least, not anyone visible. He showed the video to his coworker, who grew pale and said, "That's the old caretaker. He died years ago. That building used to be a care home." That night, Mark stayed awake, phone in hand. At 3:17, he heard the steps again, louder this time, closer. The knock came 3 times. But this time, the door slowly creaked open. He saw no one, but the hallway lights flickered and the air turned ice cold. And in the reflection of the glass frame on the wall, he saw it. A pale, tall man standing right behind him. When he turned around, nothing was there. But the frame had cracked, and the temperature didn't return to normal until dawn. Mark moved out the next morning. When he returned the keys, the landlord simply nodded and said, "You lasted longer than the last guy." Do you think Mark imagined it, or did he share his flat with something that never left? Share your thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to Fear Diaries for real paranormal accounts from around the world. Hit that like button, and remember, not every tenant leaves when the lease ends.